I would describe my year 2020 in one word, it would be letting go. Okay, I know technically that are 2 words, but it's been a long year. What you are seeing here is the last chapter of a year of many things I let go. The last piece of furniture in an empty flat. The last days in my hometown and home country before we moved 2,363 kilometers south to Portugal. I think I got to let go of so many things this year because at the beginning I made a little, in quotes, mistake. When I wrote down my intentions for this year, I for some reason didn't come up with much, but I came up with one word: surrender. And oh boy, did life deliver. Back then, I of course absolutely did not get yet that to live in surrender means to live in a constant state of letting go. So here are a few things I learned about letting go this year. I think this year has been the biggest proof to us all that there's actually no certainty on the outside. And to hold on to that is just like the biggest setup for disappointment and frustration. If we really look at life, to let go is the only thing we really know for certain is going to happen for all of humanity. At some point, you and we will have to let go of everything we know, all the places we've been, all the people we've loved, ourselves, who we thought we were. It's all going to go away at some point. And I think just to embrace this process of letting go more easily is just like the biggest preparation we can make in our lifetimes. For me, that became so apparent when in March, when we had planned to actually move to Bali for 3 months with 2 of our friends, and we had been planning this trip for months. Of course, everything came different, and we did have that brief weekend where we thought, we're gonna fight against the current of the world. We're just gonna rebook our flight and leave the next day, 10 a.m. And we managed to actually rebook everything, but then so many things just happened that weren't aligned. And 1 hour before takeoff at the airport, we finally kind of resigned and realized, okay, this is not gonna work out. And luckily, we didn't fly back then. But we could have definitely saved ourselves so many nerves if we had just accepted the change of currents in life and not been so attached to a plan. I mean, look at this picture of us on the way to the airport and on the way back. I think you can visually see the tension on the left side and the ease on the right. So it really proved to me that certainty isn't actually a fact. And the whole world tries to make us believe that, but it's not a fact. It's actually a feeling. Things on the outside will always change. But for me, there's so much more value in actually cultivating a feeling of certainty inside, that no matter what happens on the outside, I can still stay calm and stay grounded and aligned and in trust. And for me, that comes totally with just really understanding and trusting that even when life takes different turns, it's still for the better and still kind of part of my way and part of my plan. If that hadn't happened, we would not be moving to Portugal right now. And so many other things that came along with that wouldn't take place right now. So I feel really to just tune in and understand that it's so much more important to really cultivate this feeling of certainty inside, and to be willing to let go on the outside no matter what, in trust, is so valuable. I think another thing I really got to learn and integrate this year is that it's so important to really let go of wanting to fix your weaknesses. And that became so apparent to me when I was writing my thesis in March for my bachelor. I finally graduated university this year, which was super exciting. Well, it was just me sitting at home writing a thesis and handing it in. So as this year has been not very exciting, but it's been a massive chapter for me to kind of wrap up and close. And I had a bit of a hiccup in the last week before I handed in my thesis, because I realized that I was doing a scientific study. I study business psychology, and I wrote about the relationship between mindfulness and creativity and did a whole study about it. But during the last week, I noticed that I had chosen a wrong statistical method. And then I realized that I didn't really have the skills and knowledge to really change it much. Like, I was super lost. And I think, we all have so many different strengths and weaknesses. And for me, I'm very much a very creative person. I think I'm very good about all the things that are, about more emotions and, interpersonal stuff, and can make myself work in a analytical way if it has to be, but I don't really enjoy it. It doesn't come easy to me. So to write a scientific study and to use all those statistical methods was really quite challenging for me. So in that last week, at some point, I was freaking out. I realized I had to rewrite half of this paper, and I realized I just couldn't do it by myself. It cost me a lot of surrendering my pride to really accept this fact and not be ashamed of it, and just ask other people that have different skills, friends of mine that are excellent in statistics or excellent writers, to really help me in this burning time of just alone. And I'm so grateful for the people that did help me back then to really rock this paper and hand it in. And in the end, it all worked out and I got a great grade for it. But it really proved so much to me that, it's so unnecessary to think that we have to do everything by ourselves, because it's natural that we all have different strengths and weaknesses. And till that moment, I really thought in my lifetime, I have my weaknesses in order to learn how to fix them. But the thing is, we have our weaknesses because we also have a strength. And often there's this dynamic between the two forces. Rather than to create a life in which I just try to fix my weaknesses, I rather need to make decisions that really favor my strength and diminish the impact of my weaknesses to the lowest possible. I am really so grateful for all the tough situations I had to go through this year to really meet my weaknesses and learn to integrate these shadow parts of myself. And it's so crazy. If we really accept ourselves with all that we are, we only attract people and situations that love us with it or accept us for it. I realized it's so much more valuable just to really accept who you are and integrate that and build a very clear life in which it just favors rather your strengths instead of your weaknesses. And I really think if we all would be more okay with understanding where our weaknesses are and where our strengths are in collaboration, we could create so much more goodness instead of all of us just trying to be good at everything and perform at everything, because I feel that's not really working out. At least it didn't work out for me. Another thing I really learned this year is that when life demands you to let go. Don't compromise. Don't try to get out of this feeling. If you have this feeling that something is just not aligned anymore, you have to trust it and let go, because it won't go away. Believe me, I tried this year. And it became really apparent for me when, while I was graduating, I already started working as a designer on the side. I've been working in graphic design the past 2 years for a client, and then I decided, I'm just going to expand it. I'm going to make my own business, gonna just, welcome in other clients as well. And it was really exciting, and everything just really kind of fell into place, which was crazy for me. And I think that's why I'm so passionate just about sharing this idea of really surrendering to life and trusting this inner calling, because when you really become so clear inside that you can hear these little inklings and you develop the courage and trust to go with them, life really moves you. And in my case, it just moved me a little too fast maybe, because really my business just kind of blew up super quickly, and within a month I was actually nearly about to hire the first intern. And that is still crazy to me. And I feel very, very grateful that, I was so blessed with this, just quick growth and the trust people put in me so early on. But I think, there were just a lot of things I still had to figure out, and I was not really growing quickly enough to keep up with it. And now I know that was absolutely okay and right, and I was just meant to go through that cycle and that lesson of learning that the way it was back then just wasn't for me. But after a few months in the summer where I was just really getting super stressed out, super burnt out, I just started really getting this feeling like I'm doing something wrong about this, or this is just not right for me. And I tried to push it away. I tried to just change things about what I did or the projects I did. I thought, okay, maybe you just have to let like that project go because that one's really stressful, and then the rest will be fine. Or you just have to change this little thing about it and then it will be fine. Because of course, you know, letting go is scary, especially if there's no security. And I was, for the first time in my life, earning proper money. I didn't really have a security net in any way. So just to have this little feeling of this is not in alignment, you have to let it go, but to not have a plan B or security and no like 100% clear reason why this is not in alignment, it was very, very challenging to follow through. But I tried for months to kind of find ways to kind of surrender to that letting go, but still holding on to some pieces. And it was just a time I needed, but the inkling didn't go away. And in the end, you know, I really had to surrender to let go of some of the collaborations I had, to really also end some of the projects I was doing. And I was super, super afraid of that. And luckily, my clients were really, really, really sweet and understanding, which still blows my mind. When life tells you to let go, sooner or later you will have to let go if you want to really live a life in alignment that is happy and fulfilling for you. There's no real like timing that's right. The timing that you give yourself is right. And for me, I just needed these months of going back and forth. They were, I mean, it was not fun. Like at some point my body got so stressed out, I got really sick. Like it's not nice. The process of actually knowing you have to let go, but then not being willing to let go is quite brutal. But apparently I needed that this year to really understand this lesson that if life tells me to let go and trust, and things will move on, definitely. But yeah, it's definitely still something I'm learning to get used to doing faster. The thing that really made me grow the most this year was letting go of a pattern that was very, very, very strong in my life. And that is the pattern of just really not wanting to disappoint other people. And I am a retiring people pleaser. So for me, I've always kind of defined myself and my value over what I give to others. The backside of it is that you often neglect yourself and don't really realize where you are not really taking care of yourself. And I thought I had this figured out because when I looked at my actions, I was quite, focused on really always making time for myself, for my self-care. I was quite conscious already in a lot of decisions I made. But what I didn't realize is that on a very subtle level, I still held on to so much self-judgment, just about so many different situations where I felt like I maybe didn't care enough, I was not doing enough or behaving how I'm supposed to behave. And I really reached this point during September, I believe, when everything also with my business came crashing down and I realized I have to let this go. I mean, that was like the biggest, acceptance of disappointing others for me, because I felt so horrible about, just making this change and having to tell my clients, I'm not continuing this, I have to let this go. But there were a few words that really helped me a lot by Glennon Doyle in the book Untamed, which I loved this year. And I'm just going to read them to you because I loved how she put it. And she wrote, "Every time you're given a choice between disappointing someone else and disappointing yourself, your duty is to disappoint that someone else. Your job throughout your entire life is to disappoint as many people as it takes to avoid disappointing yourself." And I feel this year I've definitely reached a very deep layer of just understanding where I was still disappointing myself really, and not standing up for how I want life to be. And that doesn't mean to, like consciously, purposely hurt others, not at all. But often I think we make compromises that don't really sit well with us, and then it's actually not even fair also to the other person, because you're not, whatever you're doing then, you're not doing wholeheartedly, you're just doing it because you don't want to disappoint them, and usually the outcome of that is not pleasing for anyone really. So that was really, really big for me to discover this year and to let go, and still working on it in many ways. But I think just to see that it's very unrealistic concept to hold in mind, that you are so perfect that you will never disappoint anyone, because nobody is, really, nobody is. And I feel the last thing I learned this year about letting go is that, the process till you've actually let go, the part where internally you have to let go, and maybe you've already made the decision, but it's a process to be fully free internally and externally of what is weighing you down. It's a messy time, letting go, at least so far for me, is not completely easy yet. It's getting easier and easier, but it's definitely a messy process. And just to embrace that no matter if you're letting go of someone you loved, of a place you loved, no matter if it's a change that you welcome with positivity, or maybe life has asked you to let go more than you wanted to let go, this change will always stir things up in you. And I think it's just so important that no matter where you are in the journey, if you know you have to let go, or if you're in the process of letting go, if you have let go, just to meet yourself with a lot of compassion and patience, and really trust that life will find its way, and you will move through this, and on the other side you will be so much wiser, so much freer, and so much clearer. And I think that's what I really wish for anyone, no matter what you have been going through this year, if it's been a good year for you, bad year for you, if you feel good about letting it go, not letting it go, I hope you just really find this place today to just feel into compassion for yourself, that you made it through this year and come out the other side, and to also feel grateful for the blessings you did have this year, to send love to all the people in the world that actually had to struggle far more. And I hope we just all can really close this year with just the feeling of acceptance for what is, because in the end that's actually just what letting go stands for. It just stands for accepting what actually is. So I would love to hear if you've had a discovery this year of something that you let go that really helped you, because I feel when we humans would just reflect more and share that more with each other, it would be so much easier to move through life more with ease and joy. But yeah, please leave it down below in the comments. I would love to connect, and I wish you a wonderful, happy new year, and I'm excited to see what will wait for us next year. Bye. No, I actually don't know what